Look. If you don't want to make that change within yourself, it's not going to get better. This might not apply to everybody. But if you feel like you're rock bottom, okay, and you're hoping for a better day, but you literally are doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. You are provided with a choice every day. You are provided with multiple choices throughout the entire day. Take that choice, make that change. You've identified a problem. You're saying you're rock bottom. Got it. You're there now. There's only one way, and it's up. So change your mindset. Use that choice and go a freaking different direction. Love y'all. Faceman VTT out.
Day 3 of retirement. As an infantryman, I was asked if I could clean the sink. So let's look at this. Definitely some kind of grime on there. And I open up the cabinet. What do I use? Nothing comes to mind. Like my experiences, my skill set. Nothing. Wait a minute. Everyone knows this is how you clean everything. Infantry, retired.
You can just take it.
Would you like a military discount?
Do you offer one?
Honest cap of the day.
Please, thank you.
CC's Pizza is the county fair of restaurants. You go in there, you look around, you feel a little bit better about yourself, then you realize that you're in there too. Tell me I'm wrong. Well, let's be honest. You know, not everybody's made for this life. It's scary. You know, you gotta jump out of a plane while it's moving. That's not natural. It's high, it's fucking wet outside sometimes, it's snowy, it's hot, it's dry, it's shitty. Who the fuck would want to be airborne? Best job I ever had.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 133 of the Trash Talk Hour. Today we have returning guests Major General Martin, retired, and Mark Kershaw. And as usual, I'm here with Nick. Shout out to Buddy. He couldn't make it today, but definitely handling some business. So, our thoughts out to you, brother.
Yeah, never forgotten, brother.
Never forgotten. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Happy Saturday. Yeah.
300 times today.
Good.
Oh, it's great. It is great. Yeah.
Good Saturday afternoon.
We got college football on. Like right now, South Carolina's beating Georgia, unless Georgia came back. Like, we got all kinds of action going on. I don't know, there'll be somebody in the chat, but football sucks. Okay, well, you suck. All right, how about that? So
I don't watch football either.
I know you. That's because you're a European. So
no, I do enjoy it. I just don't have a team, you know? Like, I won't go out of my way to watch it, but I do enjoy watching the sport. So, you know, that is what it is.
I got that shit going on. Yeah, I got that stuff going on Facebook right now. Where I said, like, I talk about it. As a parent, if you don't like have your kids play sports, like, you suck. You know, just like
and people still don't know you, that you're like the biggest Facebook terrorist, you know, and they still fall for it, and people get triggered, and you're just sitting behind your phone laughing your ass off, you know.
Yep. I need something to read for 10 minutes.
I read this one meme the other day. Like, tag a buddy below who's that one guy who will always disagree with you on Facebook when you post something. I'm like, yep, that's Nick, you know. The sky is blue, guys, and then you'll jump on there and have something to say about it, you know.
Yeah, are you sure?
Actually, not. Are you sure?
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Go over to YouTube again, give us a like, subscribe. You know, we had like 8 viewers on YouTube last time, which was very impressive. You know, most of our
that's a good plug again.
Yeah, that is a good plug again. So go over there, go do it. Go Dogs. Thanks, Monica, for tuning in. All right, so we are going to talk about another conspiracy before we get this show kick started. And Buddy's not here, so I was going to use the opportunity. Honestly, Buddy was here, I would still do it. So I talked about the congressional hearing that the U.S. had, the Oversight Committee on UFOs and UAPs that happened a couple weeks ago, which was kind of like bombshell information, kind of cool stuff. And just 2 days ago, on the 13th, the Mexican government had a hearing, on UAPs, UFOs, and they talked about sightings that have occurred, kind of like the congressional that happened here. However, they brought out 2 alien bodies. And this was all over the news. And Chris is going to play this video for me. And we'll get everybody's take on it. So Chris, play the video.
Mexican Congress unveiled the remains of alleged non-human beings with only 3 fingers on each hand and elongated heads at a public hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena. They also provided previously unseen UAP footage. The hearing, which was live-streamed online, was attended by lawmakers, scientists, and journalists. The main speaker was Jaime Maussan, a renowned Mexican journalist, who presented the 2 mummified specimens that he claimed were extraterrestrial in origin. Maussan said that the specimens were found in Cusco, Peru, and that they were dated to be around 1,000 years old. He said that they were not part of the human evolutionary line, and that they had unique anatomical features, such as 3 fingers on each hand, 3 toes on each foot, elongated heads, and metal implants. Maussan also said that DNA tests and X-rays were performed on the specimens, and that they showed that they had a genetic makeup that was different from any known terrestrial species. He said that the specimens were not hoaxes or manipulated in any way. So what do you think? Are we one step closer to full disclosure? Or will this end up being a hoax and harmful to discovering the truth? Thanks for watching. Mexican.
I don't know, man. I'm a UFO, UAP buff. I've been, talking to Nick about this in the guard tower back in Samara. We just had a conversation about that barracks talk. I've always been into the UAP, UFO phenomena. I can't get behind this. Now, it was presented in front of Congress, like in Mexico, and the guy who presented it was some high-ranking officer in the military, Mexican military. So I don't know, man. I think it was a hoax, but then why present that? The UFO UAP thing is really big in America right now. It's big in Europe. There's so much information right now, and for Mexico to come out like that and just show 2 bodies, I don't know. I'm not behind this one. I don't buy it. I don't know. General Martin, you're a very smart individual. Maybe you can give us some insight. Maybe you got some connections. What do you think's going on over there?
I really have no idea. Lots of times people, they want to believe in these things, and maybe they've seen something, and maybe they have something that they think is evidence, and they get it talked about. So I'm happy for people who, get happy talking about this stuff, but I don't really see it.
You don't buy it?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Fair assessment. All right, Mark, what's your take?
I mean, is the question, do I believe in that shit or do I believe in aliens itself?
Yeah, specifically.
You believe in those aliens?
Yeah, if you believe in UFOs, UAPs, absolutely. I think I saw a statistic the other day. It was 60 or 70% of Americans actually believe in UAPs now and UFOs because it's just undeniable. There's a lot of stuff in the skies that are unexplained, and with the government coming forward and saying, "Hey, we don't know what these things are," and even if they're not, a lot of people are saying they're not human because just the technology and the way these things are flying through the skies and stuff. We just don't have that technology. But this video in particular, do you think that
got it? No. That literally looked identical to that fucking thing that was inside the head in Men in Black. So purely based upon that, yes. Identical when he opens up the face and he gives them the little thing that was on the cat collar. Nah, I can't fucking do it. No.
The guy is
yeah. So somebody watched Will Smith after he slapped Chris Rock and said, "I'm gonna make that out of clay," and it wasn't very good. No, I don't. But I do believe in aliens, though. I think just logically, we're probably not the only species in this universe or whatever you want to call it.
Well, so. I mean, vast universe, absolutely. Yeah. And then NASA just did their thing that they're formally investigating it all.
And they're going to use AI technology to come out with, like, I watched a NASA presentation 2 days ago as well at 10 a.m. in the morning because, you know,
and they denied it, right? They denied no.
They did, which
even
again,
more reason why I believe in aliens.
Correct. But that brings me to one of the conspiracies that I talked about on here multiple times is Project Blue Book or Project Bluebeam, where they're going to fake all this stuff, you know, like now the government is openly talking about it. So maybe there is something to it, you know, or there's actually nothing to it and it's all staged. So who knows, man? I don't know. So the video fake, Mark, but you definitely believe in, you know, all the other stuff.
100%. Yeah, that was that was entertaining though. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my position too. Yeah. I do subscribe to the broader alien phenomena, stuff we don't understand, but I didn't think that film was really accurate.
Yeah. Just the Mexican government just pulling some crazy stuff, you know. Maybe they just want to get ahead of the game. Who knows? Nick, what's your take on it?
100% real. Okay. You know, we'll get into it. Like Matt Chupp is on the thread, and he says that turn it over. It says made in China. You know, and I don't know if Matt's still doing his woodworking, but we had him on the show 2 years ago, and he makes chairs out of bourbon barrels. So Matt, I hope you're still doing that. Share a link in the chat if you are. I have some in my backyard. They're freaking legit. But yeah, and then Linda's saying hi. Good. Another good plug for all of our admin and moderators on BTT Official. They do such tremendous work. They're volunteers. They control the flow. They don't allow the politics, the sexual posts. It's purely for support. So again, if you're having problems or you're struggling, all right, go to VTT Official. Join the group. All right, you might not say anything for 2 years, but then one day someone's going to post something that you have the answer to. All right. And so the bigger the community that we have, the better we'll be. But all right, back to the real stuff. All right. Aliens. All right. Remember, Jesus was an extraterrestrial. All right. So, like, they exist. Right. Everybody thinks it's a religion, but Jesus is an extraterrestrial. Came out of fucking nowhere. Right. Right. So, like, that's just, it is what it is. But I knew this was going to come up today. So I went out and did some research. I found this homeless guy at the cross country meet, right? And I started talking to him about his deal. Homeless guy. Okay. And I was like, well, first of all, I gave him some money, but like, I was like, hey, he's like, what do you think about aliens? And he goes, yeah. He's like, you know what? He's like, they're all over the place. And I was like, dude, right? And he's like, but you know why I don't believe in them anymore? And I'm like, even though you just said they were all over the place. He's like, because the government's talking about them now. He's like, now I don't believe it at all. It's like
crazy time, right?
Right. And you talk about this before, where it's, you know, the government's openly saying that there's UAPs,
unidentified aerial phenomena. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And nobody cares. Like
this would have been a bombshell story like 10 years, you know?
Right.
Everybody's like, so desensitized, like we just don't care anymore as like the human race. We're like, how are we not like? How is this not? I mean, it is on every news channel.
Yeah, or like no shit. Like,
do y'all remember when the government? Do y'all remember when the government got so mad when that kid? It was like a random kid got a petition together, got millions of signatures to storm Area 51.
Yes.
It made like national news. People are like, we're going to be clapping alien cheeks.
Yeah.
Like millions of people in the government.
People went out there and camped out there that night. And yeah.
That was the one time it'd been awesome to be a gate guard. It's like, yeah, come on, nerds.
Yeah.
Let's go. Storm this space.
You're not coming in here.
Let's go. Oh, man. But
so anyway, video's fake. Yeah.
No, real.
Oh, real.
100% real. Yeah, that's the homeless guy. Everybody knows that.
Fair enough. Okay.
Good take. But normally this is where we transition to the most important part of the show, and that's me talking. However, as Dave would say, like, we're gonna do something different. All right. We had Mark on the fight show a couple fight shows ago, showing one of the. It's going to be a tremendous document. It is a tremendous documentary. It's already made, and I'll let him explain it. We'll show the clip first, then Mark, feel free to talk about it. But again, this like Mark and I were a part of one of these soldier stories, and it's going to be awesome. Go ahead and play it, Chris.
I knew this lifestyle was good for me and I could do it. I was proficient. I was good at it. And I liked it. The money was good, and I got to travel. And I got to live like a Hollywood movie star, felt like.
Watching Rambo and Predator and stuff like that, that made me want to join.
I went to college the first time, and like a lot of people that joined the military, I wasn't mentally prepared or, emotionally prepared.
As I was dragging him, the ground collapsed underneath us, and we fell roughly 50, 60 foot into a caress, to a hole.
As soon as we started receiving fire, I rolled onto all fours from a seated position, and an RPG landed under my face.
While we're driving into the city, before we got to the actual city, we were making explosive charges in the back of a Humvee. Then the Fedayeen they were really attacking our position. But yeah, we had a good firefight that morning. Ancient tribes, their warriors, they came home to different settings. And I think for our veterans, we need to figure out a way to bring these guys home and let them integrate into a society that understands them.
I miss it. I miss every portion of it. All the good, all the bad. I miss looking at my buddies, and we're all in pain, but we smile and we nod, and we know that he's in pain with me. And he knows that I'll do everything and anything possible for him, and he would do the same for me.
Boom.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
Cheers to that. That's awesome. All right, Mark, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's 2 years. 2 years in the making. We're finally done doing private showings, and really why that happened or why I even did that. I mean, that was all my money, pretty much all my savings that went into doing that, and then taking it on, producing it, making sure I had all the right uniforms, because us vets like to really take apart the accuracy of the uniforms and things like that. I did that because I was tired of losing guys, man. The whole reason of tribal is an idea that Sebastian Younger talks about in his book Tribe. Is when we're overseas and we're in the military, everything's like a community-based sense of practice. I'm pulling security for Dave. Nick is pulling security for me. Cooks are making food for everyone. It's never for oneself. It's for the greater good of the community. And then when you get out, you think you're going to have this false sense of reality that it's like that, and it's not, right? It's who you voting for. Are you red or you blue? What bathroom are you going into? What are your pronouns? Or when you go out and try to have a drink, people want something from you. They're exchanging business cards. They want something from you. And it really, society isn't like that. So I started talking about it around PTSD and feeling that lost sense of purpose, identity, and community. And then it kind of branched out into like a societal issue, right? Of just how do modern warriors fit into modern day society, or what is the true cost of war, right? We've been at war for 20 years. What is the true cost of it? It's not just, the 8 guys I've lost to suicide, right? But their families. And I just got tired of it, man. So I wanted to do something about it, and I wanted something to be a force multiplier, because I can't be everywhere. I still think I'm Sergeant Kershaw. I still think I'm somebody that kind of wears everyone's issues on my shoulders. So it kind of kills me every time it happens. So I'm hoping that this can kind of be a message to vets hey, it's okay not to be okay, and get help. That's why I picked those 3 warriors. They don't know each other. There's a Marine, there's a guy from 10th Mountain, and then Omar, who was in the 82nd. They don't know each other. The only thing that you can see is that they share a common, I would say, experience once they get out. They all feel this way. So I'm hoping that it'll let vets know it's okay not to be okay and get help. And then also the allies and the people that are trying to understand things, or they'll realize and be like, hey, that's why Mark doesn't want to go to happy hours, right? That's why he's a little bit quieter. Maybe he just does his work and goes home. Maybe that's why he's isolated. He's a nice guy, but why doesn't he just drink in front of us or something like that, right? Which I was accustomed to, right? My manager used to get mad at me because I never went to happy hours, because I feel like a square peg in a round hole. I don't feel like I'm a part of their society or their tribe. So our first viewing already happened August 12th. We had over 150 people there, and the response was awesome. We actually, I think, saved one guy, came up and admitted something to me, and then the allies were saying, how can we help? I didn't realize most veterans feel this type of way. So I think it hits the nail on the head, and I'm hoping that this can just be a message. But that's basically it.
Oh, that's awesome, Mark.
Yeah, hats off, man. And that's coming. Is that like that's a whole documentary that's coming out then, or like a?
Yeah. So a big news is I actually just signed a distribution deal. If anyone's ever dealt with like films,
oh nice.
It's a big chaotic, predatory industry. I'm just gonna be honest with it, right? Like that you can't go directly to Netflix or Prime, right? You need a middleman that completely takes advantage. But it is what it is. We found a really good place that doesn't do that, and hopefully we will be on streaming soon. But the idea of these private viewings is getting community feedback and getting excitement around it, and getting people not only in the theaters and feeling it. We have a panel afterwards that Nick's going to be a part of, and then they go to the Veteran Whiskey Bar Rebellion, and then you can talk about it. So it gets people excited about it. It gets people that don't understand veterans able to connect with them on a personal level and understand them. So that's my vision, man. We'll see if it works. So far, it's at least we helped one guy, and that's enough. But
stay the course, man. That's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
Correct. Stay the course. And your next one, which I'll be there, is October 7th in Arlington, correct?
Yep. Arlington Cinema Draft House, October 7th. Tickets are free, so if anyone's in the area and wants to go, it's filling up, but we have plenty of tickets left. And if you want to go, just let us know.
Yeah, super excited. Super excited. And this kind of goes into, we've talked about this on the show 100 times, but it's, I remember when we had John Troxel on the show and the old crazy SEAC, right? And, he was like, they were asking me, what are you going to do when you get out? You're going to be range control, right? You're going to go work at the PX, and he's like, I'm going to go be a CEO of a company. Like, I'm going to go do this. Like, because the old adage that, an NCO when he retires just has to go do range control, or work a gut truck for the ranges, and it's like no, you literally just said, I'm going to make a movie. And guess what, everybody watching? He did it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
He put off his butt and he did it. All right. And that goes for anybody. It goes for me, it goes for Gregg Martin, goes for Dave. Like, here's the worst idea is when you're sitting there just thinking about not acting. All right. It just becomes lost. Right. Go act on it. Go make it happen. All right. Unless it's like murdering something. Don't do that. But you might want to leave that one sitting there. But no, hey, congrats, Mark. Can't wait to see it. What are your guys' takes on the video? Anybody?
Mark, congratulations. I can imagine
Appreciate
how much
you.
work it is and creativity and all that. So really well done. I look forward to watching it.
Thank you. Appreciate that, sir.
Oh, we got a YouTube comment every day Saturday. U.S. Marine Corps veteran. What's going on? All with the crayon marks. What's going on, brother? Hey, again, everybody watching right now, go on our YouTube and then press subscribe. All right, we don't pay any attention to YouTube. We're shadow banned on it. Like, the only one that shows is our West Point football talk show that we have, because I hashtag West Point and that doesn't get shadow banned. So go ahead and throw all that out. Speaking of the West Point shirt, good segue into it. But okay. We have another awesome thing to promote that, those of you who've been fans of the show for the years that we've been doing it now, General Martin was on the show about, a year ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, about a year
what
ago.
What a show, too.
Yeah. That was a great show. And I'm sure he'll get into it again a little bit for those of you, because we have a much bigger following now than we did when you were on last time. So, like, you get to go through the whole thing again and, tell us all about, what it's like to be a bipolar general, in the meeting with the chiefs of staff and yelling at them. So that's like, I always thought that every, like, leader in the Army was bipolar, but without making fun of it. That's like, what the hell is wrong with him? Like my bootlace was untucked, man. Sorry. Sorry, dude. No, General Martin, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour.
Yes.
And of course, when we do I spend about a good 3.5 minutes on the script every Friday, and because I put a lot of work into it. And
daunting task.
I spell words wrong. I don't care. And I said, hey, how come you branched infant? So it was like we know that you're really on the show to tell us why you were upset that you didn't branch infantry, and you wish you would have. But it's okay. We forgive you, and we still love having you on the show. But hey, congrats on the book. Tell us all about General Martin's Bipolar General.
So, hey, thanks a lot. The book is officially out as of yesterday, 15 September, official release of the book, Bipolar General, My Forever War with Mental Illness. So anyway, it's out there. Yeah, it was a lot of work. I mean, it took about a year to write the manuscript. It took about another year to find a publisher who wanted to publish the book. And then once I had a publisher, it took about another year to actually get the book published, because there's, a lot of steps and things that go into that process. But I'm happy it's done. But now I'm getting really, really busy with interviews, articles, podcasts, speaking engagements, et cetera, et cetera. But it's good. It's all good.
Nice. So yeah, talk through us a little bit about, like, you just said how long of the process it was, and we ask a lot of the authors that come on the show. It's like, what did you find rewarding about writing the book? Did you find self-help in it? Did you find, like, was it soothing? Was it difficult because it brought up things that you maybe were like keeping down deep, and then maybe it triggered something else, something like that?
Some of both. Overall, I would say it was a very cathartic, therapeutic process that, writing the story out helped me to understand it, to make sense of it, made me feel better. But there were parts of it that are upsetting, terrifying, shocking, that are not a happy story. And so those kind of were startling. It made me feel, not happy, but it helped me get my head and my emotions and my heart wrapped around it so I could move forward better. So overall, I would say it was a very positive experience.
Nice. Give us a little bit about the background of the story, and like just that, because I follow you on LinkedIn. We communicate a lot on there, and I see all, like, you talk about being busy. You are being extremely busy watching all those. Talk about like just a little bit of the background for the viewers on, like.
Yeah, you got to give us some of the stories from
the
last time you were on. I mean, I was just all ears. I didn't even talk. You just did the talking, and it was just phenomenal. So,
okay, I'll give you kind of a short synopsis of the story. I was very successful in high school, captain of the teams and honor roll and leadership. Then went to West Point, graduated near the top of my class. Got to go to Ranger School. Then went off to Germany as a platoon leader, company commander during the Cold War. And, while I was there, like in my free time, ran 7 marathons under 3 hours, including a 236. And everything I did, I got, top ratings. My soldiers were great. I loved being around those guys. Had an important, dangerous mission in the Cold War, on the border with East Germany, where the Soviet armies were just across the line. But everything was successful. And when the Army then said, hey, we want to send you to grad school to get a master's degree in civil engineering. So I went to MIT and I got 2 master's degrees and a PhD. And the reason I tell you all that is not to brag, but I now realize, looking back and working with psychiatrists and, some world-class doctors, that my brain was a bipolar brain going back to high school. I was living on the bipolar spectrum from my teenage years on. And what that means is that my brain was producing and distributing excess amounts of dopamine, endorphins, and other chemicals that gave me a boost in energy, drive, enthusiasm, optimism, problem-solving skills. And so that carried me. Every rating I ever got in the Army was a top rating. And, ended up getting, made battalion command, brigade command, all the way to 2-star general. But this condition called hyperthymia, which is a near continuous state of mild mania. And mania means you're up, you're getting a boost, you're getting enhanced. It was key to my performance and success and all my achievements. And it helped me until it went too high, and then it started to hurt me. The first big onset of bipolar disorder where I actually went into real mania was in Iraq in 2003. And this is according to the Army Medical Board and the VA. So I was a brigade commander in charge of thousands of troops. You know, we got to do the attack from Kuwait, you know, onto Baghdad. And the thrill, the euphoria, the stress of combat triggered my genetic predisposition for bipolar disorder. So prior to Iraq, I was on the bipolar spectrum. I had a bipolar brain, but it was pretty much under control. But once the Iraq war started, I went into a case of mania where I felt like Superman. I thought I was Superman. I had unbelievable amounts of energy and drive, and my creativity and problem solving skills on the battlefield were just really, really high. You know, pretty much fearless, moved all over the battle space, you know, always checking on everybody, seeing what was going on. And the year in Iraq went really well. The mania helped me do better than I otherwise would have. But when we went home to Germany, I fell into depression. And I was in depression for 10 months. And I mean, I was lucky that I could still function because I was still a brigade commander. I could function, but I was just in really bad shape. And I went to the doctor and said, hey, there's something wrong with me. I'm usually really high and up and energetic. And now I'm really depressed and I'm down and I'm low. You know, what's wrong with my brain? And they said, oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And they were totally wrong because I was in the down cycle of a bipolar swing. I had been up and then I came down. And that happened 2 more times over the next several years where I went in to get checked out for depression. But what ended up happening was from 2003 in Iraq until 2014, when my brain essentially blew up, my bipolar disorder was unknown to me or anybody, unrecognized, undiagnosed. And my manic highs kept going higher and higher. My depressive lows kept going lower and lower until by 2014, I went into what they call full-blown mania, where I went insane, into a state of madness. And I can talk about what that was like if you're interested.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
Okay. So here's just some examples. In those 3 months before I got fired, I went essentially 3 months with zero sleep, no sleep at all, because I didn't need it because of the mania. And then the lack of sleep made the mania go higher. I had a sense of grandiosity where I thought I was the smartest guy in the world, that I held the key to world peace. I had this idea called the Global Security University, which would be this interconnected network of networks that, you know, using kind of the Stan McChrystal model for how he went after the terrorists. Mm-hmm. And I was preaching it to everybody, recruiting people, trying to pump this thing up. And it consumed me totally. I had a sense of religiosity. I thought I was basically a apostle of God into the Department of Defense to transform DOD. So I thought of myself as being like the Apostle Paul, only modern day in the U.S. military. I was probably doing 25 to 30 significant religious events per week. I mean, I saw the Holy Spirit come down multiple times. I saw demons and devils attacking our house on Fort McNair in Washington, D.C. I put Bibles and crosses in the windows and doors to repel the demons. And I would see them like fly in and they'd see the Bible and they would like do a U-turn and fly away. It was intense religiosity, praying and memorizing Bible verses all the time. I lost track of time. I would forget meetings and appointments. I would be if I was in a meeting, it might run for 2 hours, because I lost track of time. I would talk endlessly with pressured speech, faster and faster. And people couldn't keep up with me because I was speaking so fast. I had a flight of ideas where I would get so many good ideas rapid fire in my brain, nobody could possibly keep up with it. I was reckless, taking chances. I was right on the edge of being violent with people and hurting people. And I was really fortunate that, kind of like a guardian angel or something protected me, to where I never did any physical violence to anybody. But that's part of mania as well. I had hallucinations where people who were resisting the transformational change of National Defense University, I would see them, their faces would morph into rats and snakes. And that's pretty dangerous because I could have grabbed them and thrown them out the window or smashed a chair over their head, but I didn't. So I was really fortunate. I would be in a meeting and people would, if people were pushing back on the changes or, arguing, I'd have a PTSD flashback to where I was in Iraq, so bombs going off, artillery, fire, smoke, blood, dead bodies and stuff like that. And so that would happen like in a meeting with civilians, not, again, a very unhealthy situation. So I started getting so out of control, over the top, that my people finally started recognizing, hey, there's something wrong with this guy.
That was going to be my next question. What was the reaction of people around you? The people who cared about you, who were very close to you, and then just everybody else,
So my condition up until spring, summer of 2014, up until then, there were people who probably thought, man, this guy's really kind of over the top. He's got an awful lot of energy. He's acting kind of weird. But nothing bad enough that somebody would report the behavior as this guy's mentally ill. That never happened. But once I got into that stage that I just described, where I become, literally in a state of madness, they started writing anonymous letters to my chain of command. And my boss was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who was General Marty Dempsey at that time. So he was my boss. And I had worked for Dempsey like 4 times, and we knew each other really well. And he had picked me for the job, but he did some investigations and assessments and decided, for the good of National Defense University and for the good of Martin, we need to get him out of there. And so on a Friday afternoon, I got a call, hey, report to the chairman in the Pentagon, 10 o'clock Monday morning. And I was so high, I didn't know if I was going to get promoted or fired. And I didn't really care. And so I went
It's not a laughing matter, but yeah.
That's what we do. We laugh about stuff like this.
It is pretty amazing. And so I report to the chairman, and I see the first person I see when the door opens is his lawyer. I said, "Oh, no promotion today. That's not a good sign." So General Dempsey, who's a wonderful guy, really great dude, and he comes across the room. He gives me a big hug, and he said, "Gregg, I love you like a brother. You've done an unbelievable job. I give you a grade of A+, but your time at NDU is over. You have until 5 p.m. today to resign, or I will fire you. Oof. And I'm giving you an order to go get a mental evaluation this week at Walter Reed." And he said, what are your comments and questions? So we had a nice little discussion. And I basically said, "Sir, thank you. This is great. God put me here to do great things, and now he's going to put me somewhere else to do even bigger things." And that was pretty much the end of the conversation. And then I basically went in 3 times in the next couple of weeks and got 3 separate psychiatric evaluations, and all 3 of them said, "Fit for duty, you're healthy, there's nothing wrong."
Wow.
And I mean, I can't tell you guys, these doctors got it so wrong.
But when you went to these doctors, real quick, were you telling them everything that you were seeing, or did you go to those doctors then and tell them what they wanted to hear? How did you because I mean, obviously you telling us all this stuff, like, holy shit. He's going through some stuff.
It's the aftermath. So did you think like were you in there were you in there not knowing that this was a problem?
So that's a great question. And here's the deal. When you're manic, when you're state of mania, I thought everything was normal. I thought seeing the demons flying and the Holy Spirit coming down, and
everyday life,
and the guys turning into snakes, and me being elevated up off the ground and stuff like that. I thought it was all normal, and that this idea that I was anointed from God I thought it was true. I believed I was the smartest guy in the world. I really, truly 100% believed all that. So when I would go in and talk to the doctors, I mean, you could go in when you're manic, you're not constantly bouncing off the walls and jumping up and down. So when I would go in to see them, I would sit down and we would have a rational, intelligent conversation in which my story of why all this is happening is that the bureaucrats, the DoD civilians at NDU were resisting change. They didn't want to transform. And they're fighting back on me, and they're trying to get me fired and leave.
So none of the other stuff, yeah.
No, right. So that's what we talked about, and so and I mean,
and then you're good to go, yeah.
So they're like, hey, that makes sense to me.
They suck.
Yeah, they suck. Yeah.
They suck. It's their fault. And so, and the other thing is, the doctors, they had a hard time dealing with a 50-something-year-old 2-star general having bipolar disorder. They're used to having an 18 to 25-year-old enlisted guy, NCO, young officer.
PTSD,
Yeah, that's what it normally happens is 18 to 25. It doesn't happen hardly at all when you're in your 40s or 50s, but it did to me. And so my success and being a general masked the reality of my condition. So they couldn't see past the stars and the success and, NDU president and all that. The other thing that happened that I am certain happened is that the medical people and the military people never talked to each other. Like if the military people had given the medical people all these anonymous reports, I mean, it reads like a textbook that describes bipolar disorder. I mean, I read a bunch of the anonymous reports, and it's literally, it describes that psychiatric condition to a T. So if the doctor had seen that stuff, I think they would have come to the conclusion pretty quickly, this guy has bipolar disorder, but I don't think they ever saw it.
Wow.
But what happened though, what really made those false findings dangerous was that in my mind, I thought my employees, the civilian employees, were out to screw me over. I believed that. I thought I was being followed, tape recorded, watched, spied on, and that they wanted to get me fired, put in jail, and murdered. And so those are what you call psychotic delusions, paranoid delusions. And so once 3 different doctors said, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, that confirmed in my mind that my paranoid delusion was true, that they were out to get me because look, the doctor said I'm healthy. So why else would they have put in all these reports about me that I know they're false now. I know they were lying. So then I went into a state of bitterness and anger and rage where I want to kill people.
Everybody against you. Yep.
Everybody's against me.
Yep.
But then what happened is I was so high with mania, there was a natural what goes up must come down. So I spiraled and then crashed into hopeless, crippling depression with psychosis. And that was in November. So 4 months after I got fired, I was in horrible depression. I'd never felt anything like it before. I could barely function as a person. My brain was essentially shutting down. All those chemicals that give you energy and lift had been, they shrank and they went away. And so I had nothing. My brain was just shut down. And so I knew I was sick. That was the first time I really knew there was something wrong with me. And I went back to Walter Reed and said, hey, there is something wrong with me.
We got to figure this out. Yep.
And then they were able to, I said, I always was up, always full of energy, enthusiasm. Now I'm like nearly dead. And they were able to piece it together and everything. And then they said, aha, bipolar disorder with psychosis. And psychosis is delusions and hallucinations, which I can talk about more and give you guys a little time to think about. But those, for the next 2 years, I was in what I call bipolar hell. Hopeless depression, terrifying psychosis, and essentially I had was suicidal with what they call passive suicidal ideations, where I had continuous visions of my own death, my own brutal death, murder, bloody, and it went through my mind continuously. So, and then, so I went through 2 years of that, and I'll pause there. And then 2 years later, I finally started the journey of recovery.
That's insane. I mean, you pretty much, you had it your whole life, obviously, because you're talking about back in high school and everything. And then, like, I guess, where was the key? Like, I guess after that deployment or the invasion or whatever, that's when you came back and it really started, you know, like, I'm trying to understand, like, the whole behind it. It's not something you just pick up suddenly, but you've had it your whole life. And then it just got to a point where it just,
Yeah. And it, like, with that, Dave, if you don't mind if I jump on
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Like, we use humor, at Veteran Trash Talk. And then on the support page, we have people that are more serious than Big Earl, because I'll make a joke about anything. Because that's my coping mechanism, right? I turn it into humor, and then that helps me talk about it. With that, do you ever go back now? Because you were laughing about it when you were talking about it, but do you ever go back now and look at it from the outside and say, I was wondering why my training meetings had less and less people in it every time. Because why aren't there any NCOs here? We're like, all the sergeant majors, like, I ain't fucking going to that. It's gonna be 16 hours of telling us why we're changing this shit. Like, did that reflection ever go back and be like, man, like these people, they honestly, they probably just left. Like, was there anything that you picked up on, maybe that you thought of later down the road?
Yes, definitely. I mean, looking back now, the true bipolar disorder, like I said, I had a bipolar brain. I was on the bipolar spectrum, but it was very low level, and it was at such a low degree that it actually helped me. And
I was going to say, it led you to success for the most part until it spiraled the other direction, but for the most part, it made you who you, as successful as you are, right? From a high school standpoint to the military. And that's what I was kind of trying to explain earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It did.
Yeah.
But I've gone back and when I was in the process of writing the manuscript for this book, I went back and interviewed everybody that I served with, superiors, peers, subordinates, and I talked to as many people as I could. And I said, hey, I am bipolar, and here's when it really started in a significant way was in Iraq in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got worse and more significant over the next years until 2014. Did you see anything unusual? What kind of what issues did you see? Was there anything strange? Here are some of the symptoms of bipolar disorder. Did you see any of these? And I had some pretty good discussions with people.
I was going to say, you're probably surprised. It's whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the people were really surprised that had been with me in the early days of the bipolar disorder, like from 2003 to say 2006. But as it went on and the condition got worse and more serious, then people were like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Now I can see
it. Crazy.
That explains a lot of things. And so, yeah, I've had that conversation, and it didn't get really crazy out of control to where it was hurting relationships, performance, leadership of the unit, probably until about 2013, 2014 is when I started getting really crazy. Up until that, most of my energy and creativity and all that stuff were still pretty much of a plus. And when you're manic, you not only think you're the smartest guy in the world, you think you're the funniest guy in the world. And people, for the most part, they liked being in my command. They thought it was fun and it was exciting that we were achieving big, important things. And they kind of wanted to be on, Team Martin. And until I started having 2-hour-long meetings, forgetting about things and stopped doing paperwork. And, I would come to work and wear unless I had an official meeting with some big delegation, I'd wear gym clothes my last couple of months, and this is, you're supposed to have the same rules of uniformity as the joint staff. So, you're supposed to be in either class A or class B. I'd show up in PT all day. And people say, hey, General Martin, the uniform is such and such. And I say, I know, but I get paid to think, and I can think much better when I'm in my PT clothes. So I'm sitting in this headquarters with all these big shots and ambassadors and generals. I'm roaming around in PT clothes all day.
I'm sure there's some pictures floating around. There's got to be some pictures.
Yeah.
But somebody snuck one in. Look at this guy.
But I think to go to your exact question, Nick, I think there was a threshold that was crossed in the spring of 2014 where I became a negative force, a distraction, a problem. And I was not value added to the unit anymore. I was taking away. And that's when people started writing their reports to the chairman.
Yeah, fascinating. It reminds me of a story of a patrol-based situation one time. Remember old Frankie Velez, Sergeant Major Velez, Dave? Were you there or did you leave? So old Frankie Velez called everybody Jimmy, right? And he'd come over, he'd be like, come here, Jimmy, right? And he'd take a bar bread out and he'd light it, and he'd cover his mouth with it, and he'd go, hey, come here, Sergeant Cottrell. He's like, I was just at the academy, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but is that fucked up over there? And I'm like, yeah, Roger Sergeant Major, it's fucked up. I'll go fix it. He's like, okay, I'm just making sure because I'm a little crazy, and I'm sitting there like, that's like, okay. But anyways, like what you just said about thinking more clearly in PTs, like I had a soldier who was awesome, like just a smart ass like me, right? And all of a sudden I hear, God damn it, real loud. I'm like, oh, that's Sergeant Major Velez, and I'm in the patrol base, and I'm like, I go over there, and I'm like, what's up, Sergeant Major? You know what this motherfucker just said to me? I was like, nope, and he goes, I saw him with his hands in his pockets, and so I yelled at him, I'm gonna get your hands out of your pockets. And he said, well, a high-ranking officer said I could have my hands in my pockets. And Sergeant Major goes, who? He goes, well, actually, sir, Sergeant Major, it was a general, and he said, somebody with cold hands and empty pockets is a fool. And he said, well, what general? He goes, General Patton. He goes, you're a Cottrell's platoon, aren't you? He goes, yeah, Roger, Sergeant Major. It's like, okay, get out of here, But and then this is going to segue into something, but like that's where like you were talking about it, where the doctors are, you're a general, so they're not really asking you the real questions. If they would have saw the manuscripts and like that. And Dave and I talk about this all the time. Like when you're on the spectrum of something, right? And people want to medicate you and, stop you from being successful. And I think we've come a long way since then, right? But it's like that spectrum made you successful, like Dave talked about, and I think you talked about, where your brain is operating on a different level. All right. Now, have you read up or researched anything that if they would have found out this earlier, was there a drug or anything that they would have put you on 30 years ago that might have destroyed your life as opposed to what they're doing now for you?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I've talked a lot with different psychiatrists and medical people. So there's a strong belief that bipolar disorder is really prevalent among high achieving people, whether it's in business, government, arts and entertainment, military, whatever. But that this bipolar condition is actually quite prevalent and really underreported. So and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, most bipolar onset is between 18 and 25. The thing that causes bipolar disorder to come on is that you have the genetic predisposition, and then you're put in a really stressful environment like the military. And then that triggers it. And then there's all kinds of reasons why people in the military either don't know they have it, they don't report it if they do, or they hide it because they don't want to get kicked out. And so I just read that 25% of veterans have bipolar disorder. So 25% of veterans, and now the national.
That's a significant. That 25%. I mean, people might say 25. That's significant. Yeah.
Because the national average is only 4%, And
Nick,
so
you might want to go look into that.
If
Go ahead.
25% of veterans have bipolar disorder, that kind of sort of tells you that about 25% of military people probably have bipolar disorder too.
Right.
Which, you know, nobody talks about. There's no, I couldn't get any figures on how many people in the military have bipolar disorder. But
Wow.
the other thing, I had a talk with the VA doc about this. I said, if you could see the characteristics of early mania, is there anything that could be done about it? He said, yes, there is. You could do like medical interventions with certain types of, you know, anti-bipolar, anti-mania medication. But he said the military and nobody else would ever want to do that because some of their best performers are people who have bipolar disorder.
So on that mania, that high level. Yep.
Yeah, they're keeping it under. So they're underneath a certain level. So they're not going insane or crazy or mad like I ended up doing. And so nobody wants to talk about it. Like, because do you want to say, hey, this guy's my best performer. They're the most motivated. They're the most dynamic.
But he's bipolar. We got to remove him. Right.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do that. And it's the same in business, entertainment, government positions, etc. But the short answer to your question, though, is put like the medication. After 2 years of bipolar hell, I was hospitalized. I went to a VA inpatient. So I was in the locked up psych ward. I did electroconvulsive therapy to my brain, shock treatment. I did all kinds of stuff. But what finally helped me turn the corner and stabilize was lithium, which is a natural salt that's harvested out of the earth. It's Li3 on the chemical periodical table. And so you could give somebody theoretically who is at a lower level of mania that you're worried is going to be going up the spectrum, and you could give them low doses of lithium. And if it works for them and it doesn't have negative effects, that could curb their movement towards real mania and real bipolar disorder. So, and they call that, the medical term is a prophylactic. And so they would give you that medicine to try to curtail that movement towards mania. But there's really no appetite to do that because there's a large part of society that says that the psychiatric community is medicalizing everything, that they think everything is a mental condition and they want to give medicine to people for every little thing. And like I said, nobody wants to disrupt a high performer. So
right.
Could they have done that with me? Probably, but nobody knew there was anything wrong. And they just don't do that.
Right. Yeah. So those of you watching right now, especially Jeremy on the chat thread, who's going nuts, like he always does. We love you, Jeremy.
Love you.
Like, yeah. Don't go eating Tesla batteries. All right. If you think like you're like, but that being said, and it's fascinating because I was reading a book that had a lot of pictures, but it was talking about.
You're an Army guy. You're not a Marine.
Yeah, but that's another general story I love talking about with General Horner. It's like why do like Native Americans take their shoes off, their moccasins off? It's like because there's metal in your body, there's metal in the earth, and it's like so when you walk barefoot on the ground, right? Those metals center you. That's what they thought, and so it's like. When you said that, I thought about that instantly. It's like, like you said, like there's that misconception. And I am going to bring up Task Force Lahaina that we're doing right now that Ben Owen and Colonel Mann retired is doing that we'll take credit for. We started it, but they took it over and they're getting supplies to Lahaina. And they said the biggest thing that you have to stop is disinformation. And he's like, stop the disinformation of what's going on over there, like the conspiracy. And then the help will get there. He's like, the worst thing that can happen is like, oh, this is all staged. And then people stop donating, right? People stop working because they think it's all staged, right? Is that kind of like what you were talking about with like there is help out there, but the conspiracy of what psychiatrists are doing it can really hurt people who need help.
Yeah, it's wild. Like breaking that down, like, yeah. Go ahead.
I would say yes, that's a factor. I mean, the biggest thing about to remember about mental illness, and bipolar disorder is a mental illness. It's a serious mental illness, and I had it severely. Is it can these mental illnesses can destroy your marriage, your family, your career, your finances, lead to addictions, homelessness, incarceration, death, and suicide. I mean, and it happens all the time. It's happening right now as we speak. There are people dying from these conditions. And that's the really, really bad news. The good news is if people get in and get medical help and they get evaluated and they get properly diagnosed, which for me took a long time, and it took another couple years to get the right medication. If you get the right treatment and you stick with it and you manage these chronic brain conditions, then you can live a happy, healthy, purposeful life. And so that's the really good news. But there's these things like the conspiracies that you were just talking about. There's the stigma where people think mental illness isn't real. It's just a lack of willpower or a lack of character, which is totally untrue. I mean, I know for a fact because my brain shut down, and that had nothing to do with my willpower. I couldn't function anymore because the brain chemistry shut down. And so there's lots of reasons. The stigma, though, is a big one. And what people have to remember is, bipolar disorder and other mental illness are physiologically real inside the brain, the same way diabetes or cancer or heart disease is physiologically real. And in order to deal with them, you have to get diagnosed, get the right treatment, and then manage it. And that's the same thing with mental illness. So I would say whatever it is, stigma, conspiracy, whatever, people need to move beyond that and seek professional medical help.
Yeah, I think we've come a long way with that as well, especially in the DoD and the military. And I'm going to talk about a comment here in the thread because I had something very similar happen to me, so it's not crazy. Matt Chris says exactly right. I had a psychiatrist going through SRP for my 4th deployment and answered the psych survey accurately for the first time. So he was honest on us, right? That told me that she wanted to put me on medication for my PTSD/anxiety. Then she said she didn't want to take my edge away in a combat zone, right? And I remember after being rocked in 2006, I failed that whatever that new NFL test was for TBI, right? They had just introduced it. So I had failed it, like 5 of us did. Well, actually probably about 25 of us did in the company. But they put me into an office with a doctor. And they were like, so are you experiencing like any like type of headaches? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, where? And I was like on the left side and then behind on the right side. She's like, are they tension headaches, do you think? Are you normally find yourself like short of breath and then you're getting headaches? And I'm sitting there like, no. I just get a headache. I literally have to go sit in a dark room. It's not a migraine, it's not excruciating pain. It's just annoying, right? And she goes, yeah, it's so the NFL study for TBI is that's what they're paying us for. Is she goes, however, if I say that you have PTSD headaches or TBI, they're gonna kick you out. They're like, do you want to stay in? And I was like, yeah. She literally wrote they were stress headaches to keep me in the Army. Right. And I would never have met Mark if she didn't keep me in. So, there's the positives and negatives to it. But when you look at that, like you said, when you look at your VA,
those are sad conversations.
When you look at that VA paperwork, when you get out and it's like, man, I could have had these problems fixed a long damn time ago.
Yep.
What the hell? And Dave, I do go to therapy and she doesn't say that I have freaking bipolar disorder.
I think you and I had a conversation about that back in 2010, 2011. And the E8 board was coming up. I went to mental health because there was some stuff bothering me. And, we always talk about in the trash talk how change starts within. You got to do it yourself. And I went to mental health and she's like, we can set up more appointments, but the E8 board is coming up. So this might not qualify you for E8 if we go this route. You might be exiting the military earlier. So I stopped going, got promoted to E8, successful career, ran a company and all that. But that happened, And that
let's be fair. It was a recruiting company.
Hey, successful recruiting company. I don't care.
I mean,
hey, we were making mission.
You were in Fayetteville. You were in Fayetteville.
No, I was out here in Arizona.
That's right. Yeah, Fayetteville. Never mind. Yeah.
You guys were recently in. Has it gotten better? Like I remember
it's way better. That's why Nick mentioned that.
Way
but like
when
we came back from the deployments, like we weren't like, did you see dead bodies? No. SRP, all that stuff. Like no. Because you would be removed.
You were terrified.
Yeah, when I was in, like, if you said you had an issue, thoughts of suicide, you had an orange row guard vest, your shoelaces were removed, your belt was removed, and then as an infantryman, you could no longer do your job. You had guards around you the whole time, and you can't hold a weapon. Like, why on God's green earth would I ever admit shit, right? Yep. Like that, you're a pariah at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
we've gotten so much
I'm wondering if it's
Did you have anybody suicidal? Did you have anybody suicidal in basic training? Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Where they're like, and then you had like 7 guys standing around their bunk at nighttime.
Yeah, bunk watch.
Like what kind?
We've gotten so much. I mean, we've had pilots on the show. What was his name? That was, that mentioned he had some issues, but then was still able to fly.
Yeah, he was the 160th guy. He has the woodworking business.
We've gotten so much better. So hats off to the Army in general, military. We've gotten so much better, but our generation, no.
Well, yeah, think about
nightmares, no.
Yeah.
You think about killing people? No. Like, just no to everything. And then in retrospect, you're like, I should have probably answered yes to 50% of those questions.
Yeah. And then it has an effect when you get out, though, because like that's you still identify as like a veteran, right? And you still have those standards and SOPs, right? So like that's why I think we lose a lot, because they just don't want to admit it. You ever notice like no one admits anything until you admit it yourself to them?
Correct.
You know,
a lot of people wait till the very end too for for you soldiers that are watching
something tragic to happen.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, this turned into a great like spin-off for people watching, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to go get help.
Go take care of yourself.
You have to,
because the Army's going to be gone. Like Buddy always says, the Army's a mistress. Like you are going to be old and can't physically perform anymore. She's going to grab the newest young buck, and then you're done. And then you're done.
Yeah,
you're done. Whether with family, without family, like you're done. You're gonna get your DD-214. They're gonna ring the bell, and that's it.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself.
We'll bring up John Troxel again when he talked about seeking mental health treatment as the SEAC. He said that I had it's like the most nervous walk I ever had was about 15 feet to General Mathis's office.
Yep.
Sec Def, and he's like, I had knocked on the door and said, "Boss, I gotta take a couple weeks off." And it's like Mattis looked up at him and said, "Yeah, I think you do." And he's like, "Come back. I need you." He's like, "Go get the help you need and come back."
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like, he's like, that wouldn't have happened 30 years ago.
No.
Right? They would have fired me.
Yep.
So yeah, we spun off and kind of took it away from General Martin here. But
I think it all ties into everything.
Well, I know it does. Linda was saying she was on Amazon looking for your book and she can't find it. So where do they go get your book?
Go to first off, the easiest is go to Amazon, Bipolar General, Gregg Martin, and it should pop right up. But another route is to go to my website, www.bipolargeneral.com. And when you go to that site, the landing page has got Amazon, Barnes and Noble, the Navy Institute Press. It's got a bunch of different presses that you could order. Like if you can't get it from Amazon, go to Barnes and Noble or go to the Navy Institute Press.
All right, perfect. Uh-oh, look out. Gloria Hampton's on here. She's definitely a cat. She's definitely a bot. Time to block that user. Hi, how are you doing? Let's be friends.
Linda says, perfect, thanks. So she'll be ordering that book. Yeah. Phenomenal, man.
Yeah, Chris just put the link in the thread. This is just great. And I tell your story, because when we had you on, we were still active duty. Dave and I were, and so was Buddy. Buddy hadn't retired yet either. And
that's right. Buddy was still in too. Yeah.
So like I was, going around, using your story at the Sergeant Major's Academy. I was like, hey, you got to go get looked at.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. And then I was talking about when you were yelling in the meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I asked you, what do what do 4-star generals do when a 2-star general starts yelling? You know, and it's like here. I'm correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was like they kind of just do this. They kind of just turn around. Like, okay,
okay.
Is that? Oh, and then Jason Wheeler, you old bastards, what's up, dude? So yeah, Jason Wheeler was a phenomenal NCO.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean we surpassed you, but it's okay. Like,
yeah, he got out. He was a quitter.
Yeah, you laid the groundwork for us.
Hey,
no, this mental health discussion is just amazing. Yeah.
The
I can
other
listen
thing
to you talk for hours. It's just phenomenal, like what you went through last time. You need to hit on that real quick because I got a kick out of you. Talked about riding your bicycle through, or your mountain bike, I think it was, or some bike through DC, just wearing like shorts, or you got to a stage where it was just like fucking insane. And I just always remember that little story or that little piece of it. Yeah.
So that was when I was in full-blown mania shortly before I got fired. I used to I couldn't sleep for like 3 months. And so I would just at night, I'd get up and go outside and, walk around DC or, do whatever. And I liked riding my mountain bike. So I'd go out the gate at Fort McNair and drive into town where the, Capitol Hill is. And so I'd go up around the Congress and I'd go bombing down the hill as fast as I could, paddling as fast as possible. And I would, on multiple occasions, I would hallucinate that I lifted up off the ground on my bike and I was flying around like
E.T.
looking at the monuments, and then I could look down and see myself pedaling away, and I was up above flying. And so, I mean, that's called a hallucination. I mean, I saw it, I felt it, I believed it was real.
That's a new conspiracy. What if
people pay good money for that kind of shit?
But
that's called acid.
And then people would say, well, you had to have known you weren't really flying. No, I didn't know I wasn't really flying. I really thought I was flying. And that's what a hallucination psychosis is you believe and hear and see things that to be true that are not true. And so in my mind, that was really happening. So yeah, that was pretty.
I remember that story from last time. Yeah,
it was really nice.
It was really nice.
The other thing I'll just say though is after I was in the psych ward in the VA, I came out. I still couldn't break the depression. My wife called my doctor and said, "Hey, you got to give him something stronger." That's when we made the move to lithium. So I had been depressed and psychotic for 2 straight years, and within 3 days of taking lithium, my depression lifted, psychosis vanished. That was 7 years ago. We moved to Florida for the warmth, the sunshine, the brightness. And I basically rebuilt my life, rebuilt my marriage because things were pretty bruised and battered. But I've really put a whole new life together. And, I decided I am going to tell my bipolar story. My mission is I'm going to share my story to help stop the stigma and save lives. And so that's what I'm doing. I mean, a book, about 25 published articles, probably about 100 talks, interviews, podcasts, and
but none better than this.
You might be on that high again, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You're doing all this stuff. I was
know.
going to ask you, what does that look like right now? I mean, obviously the medication you think is, but obviously you're still super successful. You're getting after it. Do you question yourself and you're like, oh shit, I'm doing all these things again, like amazing, I'm performing, and like what's going to happen a year from now? I'm not saying that's going to occur, but does that ever go through your mind?
Yes, you hit the biggest danger that's out there for me. That is the big danger, is that I'm getting back, that if I start getting back into my quote unquote high success, high energy mode, I could kick back into mania. There's a couple of things about that. Number one, the lithium, what it does is it creates a roof so that when my brain wants to go up into mania, it bumps into the roof. It can't go too high. And if it wants to go into depression, it hits a floor. So the medicine really helps me a lot. And then, I've got a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist that I work with, keep in touch with. But then you have to have battle buddies. Like my wife, she keeps an eye on me. If I'm doing too much or I'm going too fast or I'm starting to get revved up too much, she's like, hey, take a chill pill. But it's hard for me to slow down. And I've also got other friends that I'm close with down here that I've said, okay, this card has the symptoms of bipolar disorder. I have.
So you have a circle of people watching out for you.
Yes. If you see this, talk to me and Maggie, and so I don't go into orbit again. And so anyway, so I've got kind of a network of battle buddies and monitors and safeguards. But it is a real danger, because like with the book coming out, I mean, tons of people want to talk to me, do interviews. I mean, they want me to come visit, this for.
And you're ready to rock and roll. Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's do it. And so anyway, it's going to be an interesting few months. I've got to really, really keep a close eye on myself. And the good news is, now that I've been through all this, I can detect if I'm starting to go up, or go down, and I can feel it, and I can take action on my own.
Because you're aware. Yeah, there's awareness.
Yeah, because I'm aware of what's going on. Something's happening in my brain that's not good.
Yeah.
Starting to see things again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, that goes back to our signature saying with Veteran Trash Talk. Obviously, not quit being a triggered pansy, but to get the demon out, right? Get the demon out, right? Get it out in the public so that people can know, right? And so that they can help, so you can have that circle of friends.
Yeah, and that goes back to what Mark with the tribe and everything. Like, he's got his tribe now. He's got his people that are paying attention. Obviously, his wife, who's been through it all, so that's good. There's like all these. All right.
Yeah. And then there's a friend that's close. There's a friend that's close to us, Dave, that I had a talk with when I was back at the center of the universe, which is Fort Liberty, right? Call it Bragg even harder now, right? Fort Bragg, the center of the universe. I have a friend there. Dave and I have a friend there where same thing. It was, I don't have that shit. Like, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Which friend is it? Because a lot of those friends out there have it.
You know who I'm talking about, but well, I'm not gonna say his name on the show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yes, you do, and I'm like, I have it,
and it's okay,
and it's okay, right? Like it's okay, and we hugged it out, and it was, it did involve a golf cart. Yes, it did. And we love you, and we're here for you. We're in your circle. We're in your tribe, as Mark would say.
We all go through it. Yep.
No, General Martin, this was, again, phenomenal. Monica says, thank you for being so open and generous with your story. She goes on to more, your vulnerability encourages us all to self-reflect and seek help. Go ahead.
Hey, Nick, I was going to say, among you guys and your listeners out there, if you think this is an important story, the Bipolar General, help me to amplify it. Whatever networks or contacts, or whether you have reporters or writers or filmmakers or radios or newspapers or magazines or whatever, just help amplify it, because I think everybody who hears the story or reads it is really kind of blown away and thinks it's really important, both for the military, the veterans, and the civilian society. So any help you can give me and amplify it would be fantastic.
Oh, we got that. We got some.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah, we only got about 800,000 followers, so we'll see what we can do.
Oh, nice.
Let's see.
And we're in a movie too. We're kind of big shots,
Yeah, no big deal, Mark. We're in a movie.
We're in a movie.
Right.
I watched it, man. I contributed. I bought it off Amazon. I sold it to the cause.
We're in 22, The Unforgotten Soldier.
Yeah, shout out to Sam Medina. We got to get him back on the show.
I'm calling him Medina.
I always going to call him Medina. You already know it's an inside joke. It's always going to be Medina.
Sam is the guy who got eaten by what's the Venom in the gas station.
Venom. Yeah, he's also the bad guy in Mile 22 with Mark.
Mile 22 with Marky Mark. Yeah. So no, Sam again, same thing that we have to do for you, or we will do for you, and do the best we can, is promote it, right? Like, do the best that we can, because if we help one person today, which I know we probably did,
that's all that matters.
Every show usually helps one person, because somebody on there is sharing a story, or watching and listening. Because we have a lot of people listen to this too; they don't watch it. So we have to put it out there, because it's sad to say this, but social media and society doesn't want to hear what we're saying. They don't want to hear it. And part of that, and again, there's never one thing. The Big Earl always talks about this, like The Rock says, and talks in the third person, is, it's a system. There's not just one thing, right? But part of the system is they don't want to feel bad, right? People don't want to feel bad. They don't want to read it. They don't want to hear it, right? And it's just like, no, these are American citizens that signed up to go do something, right? And then your elected official sent them somewhere, right? And their lives changed forever, right? And like, I'm sorry if that makes you feel uncomfortable, but we have to take care of these people.
Yeah. Right? Nick, that's funny. One person didn't want to partner with Tribal because they say your film has to end with hope, with everyone winning.
No, that's not reality.
That's not reality. And I refuse to do it. And I turned down a partnership with somebody that did a lot of things because I said, I'm not doing it. Because then it loses everything we're trying to do. It loses its on its face. But it goes to your point. Everyone wants a feel-good story. But shit, man, most of us are just figuring this shit out every day. I don't know the answer.
I mean, take the Disney approach, right? Everything Disney does, it starts off with a travesty, like somebody's parents die, and then it ends great, right? Like every single Disney movie, right? Like, and Disney's great for kids to have hope, right? But as adults, when we're coping, right? Like you, General Martin, when you're coping and there's people around you that are affected by your attitude, like, and then you let them in to help you, right? That's what we need to message to people. It's like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. You need to understand what's wrong with these people. And not, I say these people, I don't mean just veterans, but anybody with any type of issue. Get it out there so that we understand it, right? And then it's your responsibility. That's where the triggered pansy comes from. Everybody thinks like, oh, you don't want to be a triggered pansy. That's kind of rude to say to people with PTSD. No. It means your actions affect people. So if you're a veteran acting crazy, right? Fine. Okay. But you have to own that.
Oh, yeah.
You own that attitude.
You have choices every day.
People to help you.
Yeah.
Right. So, hey, great show. We had a lot of viewers, a lot of people commenting, and thank you for watching. For the AAR,
go over to YouTube.
Yeah, go over to YouTube and subscribe, all of you. All right, because they shadow ban us there. They don't want to feel uncomfortable either.
What did Mac? You want to?
Said, don't blame it, own it.
Said? Yeah.
Right. Don't blame it, own it. And
yeah.
But yeah, for the AAR, aliens exist. Right. We covered that at the beginning of the show. 100%. They're in Mexico. They're about this big. All right.
And real talk, real quick, Nick. I think General Martin has some info on that stuff as well, but he's just not allowed to share it.
He had to sign an NDA, just like Buddy knows who killed the Kandahar Giant because he the Special Forces Group, and they killed the Kandahar Giant, but nobody wants to talk about that. So, aliens exist. We figured that out, but not those ones in Mexico. Those are made in China, right?
Yeah.
That's not real. And then we have
They were ordered from Wish. They were ordered from Wish.
And then we got Mark here, who was a terrible guest host and didn't really ask any questions or really contribute to the show.
You can't ask that many. No, I'm going to go to his defense. General Martin is talking and his stories. Like,
well, you cut off General Martin all the time today. That's the other part of it.
That, and I don't want to be disrespectful to y'all. This is y'all's show.
Like 100 episodes
Don't get all triggered. Don't get all triggered. Just my AAR, Dave.
Triggered, dude.
Just my AAR, Dave. Yeah.
Shut up. When he at ease, parade rest. No. When he came on last time, Nick, we even mentioned it. We just sat back and we listened, and it was just fucking phenomenal. But I'll let you get back to your AAR, but that's why.
I believe I contributed to this conversation.
No, you did.
You 100%.
I was gonna get to that because like a Disney
you are important.
Like a Disney movie.
Can I add? You can kiss my pink Irish ass.
Yeah. So I'm gonna like in a Disney movie. I'm gonna tear you down and build you back up.
Thank you.
We didn't have a dumpster fire yet today, so here's a dumpster fire during the AAR.
I love Mark's background because it always makes me feel like I'm watching Star Wars, right? And so like when it's just, I'm gonna bring him on the show at least once a week because those are the doors that Darth Vader closes. You know what I mean? Like that always bothered me in what was it? A New Hope, where Darth Vader's coming through the door and he's this powerful Jedi or Sith Lord, and he can't stop the door from closing. Like, what the hell is that all about? Whatever. We won't get in that. And then we got into, General Martin was on the show a year ago, about a year and a half ago, and talked about his battle with bipolar, and how it affected his life, his family, and now it's in a book, right? And so we can change lives, we can help people. Go buy the book. All right. The link is in the chat thread. All right. It was at www.bipolargeneral.com. All right. Did I say that right?
Yes.
And okay, go get it. All right. And then read it. And then again, you never know someday that you might see somebody that you from that book that you now recognize something and you can help. All right, and that goes along to I will do.
But don't go calling all successful people bipolar now either.
Exactly.
Listen to the whole podcast, right?
Yeah. Just have empathy for each other. Go help each other. I'm a Facebook terrorist. I'm not nice to you on Facebook. Like, I will go after you. But Dave knows, Mark knows. Call me anytime you need me. Right? We will be there. Right? We will help you. All right. So if I can't, I'm not a doctor. So if I can't help you, if it's something medical, I'll put you in the right place. But come to me. All right. I'll help you. But all right. That's the AR. Thanks, Mark, for coming on. And then Greg, you get the last words, and then Dave will close us out.
Well, thanks, you guys. This is a really important show, and it's obvious that a lot of people value it because so many people listen. I think your closing words of wisdom are right on the money, and getting informed,
Don't blow his head up.
Smart action is really key. So thank you. Really, really a pleasure to be on.
Absolutely. Dave, close us out.
This was awesome. Mark, hey, I'm looking forward to the documentary. Maybe I'm going to make it out there. Give me the dates after the show. And
October 7th.
Can you make it out October 7th?
Yeah, I think
I got a hotel room already. You can come sleep with me.
For a day or two, because that looks phenomenal, and appreciate what you're doing.
Well,
and then
the good thing is I could put y'all on a panel because I have a hard time answering what's next.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I would love for you guys to be on a panel, but I'm not going to interrupt. I'm going to shut the fuck up now. My bad.
No, you're good. We brought you on the show to talk.
Fire. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I know. I try not to be disrespectful.
No, you're good.
I don't want to hurt Nick's feelings.
Kiss my English ass.
Phenomenal. I'm gonna watch this again later. Like, again, you brought what I call the heat. Like a year ago when you came on, just the stuff you talked about and so openly. We always talk about how we change lives on this show, right? How we talk about certain topics that somebody might be affected by those because they're going through it as well. So it's like either your choice to make a difference or not, or your choice to go seek help. And you probably changed at least one life, like Nick would say on the show, maybe more. I'm going to order the book as well, even though we should have gotten free books since you came on our show, sir. I'm just saying you should have,
They were supposed to send us. The digital copy.
But regardless,
did it never get to you?
No, we never got it.
No, sir.
But we had the source. We already knew the story.
Are you in DC, sir? Are you still in DC?
No, I'm in Florida.
Oh, nice.
If you were paying attention,
Mark, if you were paying attention, you would know he's in sunny Florida. But
really?
Anyway, sir, phenomenal.
Oh, man,
thanks for coming on again.
Whatever.
We hope to have you on again in the near future to discuss it all, because I could listen to you for hours, just expressing everything that you went through. Just phenomenal stuff. Everybody that tuned in, go check out his book. Go buy it. Check out veterantrashtalk.com. That's our website. It has the links to everything. Go buy some of our merch. Today I'm wearing Just the Tip. Okay. Little bullet right there. Nick, what are you wearing?
556. I'm wearing our original.
The
original. Yeah. The dumpster fire.
Go buy some of our merch. Support the cause. Go on to YouTube. This worked last time. We got 20 more subscribers on YouTube. Go there, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and we love you guys. And buy the book. I already said that, Nick. Maybe I didn't.
Buy the book.
Love you guys, and we'll catch you next Saturday.
No, the conspiracy idea. The conspiracy idea.
Oh, we're going to talk about that real quick.
I even put it in the chat.
Yes. All right, guys.
That's why I'm the boss.
All right, everybody listen up. I'm running out of conspiracies. I'm only talking about UAPs, aliens, all this good stuff. So I need you guys to email the Big Earl or myself or message us on a conspiracy you would like me to discuss on next Saturday's episode.
Or
so anything you can come up with. But give me at least 4 days in advance, because usually I look up these conspiracies on a Thursday or on a Friday.
And we're drunk.
And we're drunk 1 day before the show. So look up a conspiracy, send it to me, and I will discuss it on Saturday's episode, and then we'll all go over it and be good to go. Anyway, we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Peace.